So I'll explain it to you first, how it's gonna work. Basically what we've got the upper and the lower. We'll open the straps up, lay everything out. This is the pump.
Yep.
If I push the button, this will slide in to release the pressure.
Okay.
I'm gonna bring it in kind of close together. Right there. The head is gonna be there, your feet are gonna be down here, your face up.
Okay.
As we pump the device, the bottom will start to move away from the top. And so the whole idea, the goal of this isn't to try and overpower the musculature. If there's pain, if there's a spasm, we're not trying to just rip it apart.
Mm-hmm.
We're trying to provide gentle traction to create a little bit of space between the vertebral bodies, but really to try and produce a relaxation effect. So I'm gonna get into position first. We're gonna set you up so that clinically, I want the lower part to kind of come in here. Now, these guys will have to be adjusted. You and I, you're smaller than me, but I'm gonna give it a guess here. We want this to be kind of snug, but comfortable. So I get a little pull, pull. Here is my belt, and this strap is right at or below my belt level.
Okay.
Now this guy will come over. Same thing. I get a little bit of slack in the strap, a little bit of tension. And so you can kind of play. When I get into position, I adjust. I can tilt my pelvis. I can kind of sit up a little bit. I wiggle a little bit so that I'm relaxing pretty comfortably. Because some of us, based on anatomy, are going to have more of a tilt, less of a tilt. I like to do it with my knees flexed just a little bit, so I'm a little more posterior. If we think about the posterior spine, if we go into a little bit of a posterior tilt, I'm already opening the space a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
If I have somebody that does better in extension, then I'll have them with their legs straight, because that instantly is going to pull me into an anterior tilt. So it just takes a little bit of kind of experimenting. And then from here, so I get my little posterior tilt, I start to pump. Whether I'm pulling apart or pushing together, I'm going to get movement through the lower part of the traction unit. And so all I'm looking for, like literally that was one pump in and out. I can start to feel it pulling on my sacrum. I can feel a little bit of stretch through like the thoracolumbar fascia across S5, L1 area. If I give it a second, there's a half a pump. There's the second full pump. I'm literally done at that point. I'm at about 20 pounds of pressure. The recommendation goes up to like 70 pounds, and there's a percentage of body weight and all this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
For the way I would use a lumbar traction unit, I'd be done at 20 to 40 pounds. More than that, I feel like it's too easy to create a reflexive spasm.
Mm-hmm.
But at 20 to 40 pounds, it's like, oh, it feels kind of good. It's relaxing. There's not much going on. I could have a pillow. I could, whatever, listen to music. And for 15 to 20 minutes, I would just relax in this position. When I'm done, I press the button. It releases the tension. I would continue to lay here another minute or two. And then I would go ahead and just release and come on out. And typically when somebody is going to come out of the unit, as opposed to just coming straight up, I would kind of log roll, come up, and I'd come off here. So let me get you on here now.
Okay.
Do you have anything in your back pockets, like wallet or anything?
Nope.
Okay. So we'll bring this across. The way this works is if I lift here, I can create some space. So I'll do these. I'm gonna click it in. You do this one. Perfect. Now just give it a little bit of tension. Perfect. Let's do the upper. Okay, so bend your knees, kind of tilt your pelvis a little bit, kind of wiggle your torso a little bit, get relatively comfortable. This is one of those for some of my clients where I might put a little cushion, like a little folded towel, just because there is some, there's padding on the device, but not enough. And so a little bit of foam would be outstanding. Most people aren't going to have foam, so a folded up towel or something would just give them that little bit of padding. Take that. So really slow, so you can feel the distraction. A big component of this, truthfully, is we want to manage the placebo as much as the mechanical. So the placebo is the sensation, the experience, what it feels like. If you do a slow pull, you'll feel that distraction. It's going to be more effective if you do it slowly and really focus on the sensation of it. Okay. So I can see it starting to move. I said the biggest thing, so I used to have the old version of this unit, which I purchased out of pocket. The biggest difference between the old version and this version is the build quality. Like, this is so solid.
Yeah.
The old version, which I don't even have anymore, it did good for a home unit, but it wasn't anywhere near as solid as this. We've been using this about 6 months. What are you up to? Can you see it? Here, let's see.
I think they need to make that dial bigger for old people.
All right, so I'm going to
nice
bring
digital
you...
readout.
All right, so that's 20 pounds right there.
Feels good.
So couple little things that you can do in addition to the traction. You can work on diaphragmatic breathing, right? So what I want you to do is I want you to visualize there's a balloon in your belly, under your belly button. You're going to breathe in through the nose. You're going to push the belly button up. So it's like that balloon is filling. You're going to push it against these guys. And then you exhale through the mouth, small opening in your mouth like you're blowing through a coffee straw. It would typically take you, say, 2 seconds to breathe in through the nose, 4 seconds to breathe out through the mouth. That's it. And so again, while we have the traction on, we're creating some awareness in the abdomen. Certainly you could squeeze the pelvic floor muscles together. There's other components you can add to this. Let's do one more breath. And now let's go into the leg straight position. Let's say you feel better with a little bit of extension. So now as soon as you lay your leg straight, that pelvis rolls forward. We get some lumbar extension through there. I'm gonna pump this back up a little bit. Anytime you change position, the traction is gonna change. So we're back to 20 pounds. Let's do like 3 more of the diaphragmatic breaths. Depending on the client's preference for lumbar flexion or lumbar extension, let's say you do better in this extended position. Let's bring the hands down by your pockets. And what I want you to do for me is, as you breathe in, I want you to bring the hands up overhead. Keep them about shoulder width apart. So go ahead. That's it. All the way up. All the way up. So that is going to engage the lats, which are going to pull into that thoracolumbar fascia. And then as you breathe out, the arms come down. Let's do one more just like that. And now let's hold the stick for me, palm up position. Yep, yep. And so we'll do one more right here. And I want you to think about almost like you're trying to stretch the stick. The stick's not gonna stretch, but you're creating a little bit of pull apart with the breath. Go ahead.
Am I doing this too?
All the way, yep. So we get the lateral rotation through the humerus, we get the lumbar extension, we get the diaphragmatic breathing, we get the thoracic expansion. We really just get a little bit of everything, you know? And so the whole idea with this is this, for me, as a therapist, this isn't a device to just like lay on for 20 minutes and close your eyes. You can, but I would take it up a notch. Then of course you could add, take a break, so you could add moist heat, right? Like we talked about putting little pads and stuff underneath there. You could add an ice pack if you respond better to ice versus heat. You could add a TENS unit with the ice. You could add just like a ridiculous number of things to increase the, I'm gonna say the power of the experience, improve the placebo, which placebo absolutely has a physiologic impact with minimum risk. And then you add the exercise into it. So now, go ahead and deflate it. You know, and what's nice about something like this is, from a home use perspective, obviously you use it as needed, right? You can do it 3 times in a day. If you're having an acute issue, you can do it once every other week just for like, hey, I'm a little tight, I'm gonna jump on there. As a therapist, so for the therapists that are going out into the client's home, it's easy to clean, easy to sanitize. This is something that could be brought out to the client's home and utilized during sessions, after sessions. There's absolutely an opportunity to have a couple of these that are out on lease. So, because a client's not going to necessarily need this for 20 years. Some do. Some have persistent chronic conditions. Some have acute flare-ups. A flare-up that's going to last 2 to 6 weeks. They can rent a unit like this. They can use it at home. When they're done, they get it out of the house, and then somebody else can, you know, benefit from it. Go ahead and unhook yourself, and let's see you roll to the side, and then we'll come off of there.
The whole experience?
Yeah.
Right now.
Right now, what does everything feel like? Now, you don't have back problems.
Right.
But right now, what does everything feel like?
It still feels...
It feels different?
Yes. It feels, I mean, that sounds weird, but it feels a little weightless.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like gravity is, I mean, I know gravity will take me back down, and I'm sure that it's, I don't know what the feeling is, but yeah, it almost feels just like, all right.
And so that's where I go back to the placebo effect, because you're not still under traction.
Right.
But the nervous system, the brain, and it works both ways. So if I've had pain for the last 24 hours, even if the pain was gone, I would still feel the pain because there's nothing to replace the pain. Now, when you get off of this, you feel the sensation of this. Even if you had pain prior, whatever was going on is back to where it was, but the central nervous system has some information, new sensation. That's what ice does, that's what TENS does, that's what heat does, that's what most mechanical things do. They just give you new information. I bump my elbow, I rub it, that's new information. Then when the pain comes back, if it comes back, maybe it comes back less intense, maybe it comes back in a different way, but then you have other stuff that you can do, you know? So now you go exercise, now you do your stretches, now you do your massage with the rolling pin, just to continue that change of information. All right, thank you.